Hare Krishna, good evening everyone. Today at our Theistic media studio, a very special guest, really known as a Satya Sundar Prabhu in our devotional realm, and his specialty is art, cinema, photography. So we'll speak about art in general in connections with spirituality. And so I just want to ask you why everybody is attracted to images so much. Image become a prominent, of the general age.
Well, as my understanding, with the type of philosophy that I enjoying my life, at least some part. At least I'm spending time with people who try to develop type of philosophy that close to my, let's say, heart. What I heard, that we naturally, human soul naturally searching for beauty. Since we born in this world, we always scanning and searching and looking for a type of the beauty. It's our nature.
Okay.
So I guess I like this explanation for myself. That's what I heard. That's what I understand. And so I guess all human beings, going with this law, like following these rules.
Right, but that's a very general answer, I would say. But see, in the previous ages, people would worship the word, the literature, the poetry, the song. But nowadays, we're coming into multimedia age, where the image, where everything has to be subtracted by image. Image become part of advertising, subculture. Image is very much logo. It's where we live in a little different time than previous generations. Even maybe 20, 30 years ago, people would read books. Now they just watch videos.
But beauty has never changed.
No, beauty itself has never changed. But what we're talking about is approach to the beauty. Because as people changing with their time, there's so many new opportunities being extended to us. Just like, we read in the book, the Ganesh, writes what Vedavyas dictates. But nowadays, we're sitting in front of camera and speak about, spiritual things. And I believe, cinema is very important for ways to conveying spiritual message, because Lenin, the famous Russian revolutionary leader, said, cinema is very important, is the most important art for the people, and he added, while they're ignorant. So he believed that, first of all, the mass of people are not connected with some deep concept. So his understanding was, if we can somehow get cinema into propaganda of our ideas and ideology, then we can help people, we can show people things. They may believe it or not, but what we say is like, show it to me. So the same as like Hitler, he would come up with the most famous propaganda movie of his cult, because at the previous and like middle and end of previous age, it was beginning of multimedia revolution, which starts with the computers, now the internet, now DSLR, just like we were today, and you took some pictures with your iPhone and immediately made sepia send to Facebook. It's kind of like, you don't get it like sending messages that quick and that obvious in previous days. But what I really like to understand from you is how to create those excited images, because somehow or other I take my iPhone and I also see some spiritual things, but I may not get the same image.
I don't think thank you for a compliment, but I think
No, that's
soon
not a
as-
compliment, it's truth.
as soon as we part of this nature, and we all has some kind of
But you have to tell us how to get good picture, man. Come on, you know,
no,
like
it's
don't tell me philosophy. Tell me why you can make it good one and I can't. And
I
I'm
know
seems
the
like a
1,000
smart
people
guy,
who
you
can
know.
make it images better than mine, but I think, for example,
Why?
no, I won't just
Mhm.
go a little bit around, just very little. I think the beauty, you can subtract of beauty like very kind of, precise when you kind of make it glamour, or let's say, the rules, and you can make, extract something looking cool.
What's wrong with that?
But no, it's nothing wrong with that. But for example, like when I go through the lot of pictures, and sometimes I really put likes on the pictures who don't have any rules and don't have any beauty, but has a message. So let's say I know some of my friends who use like Instagram or take it shots, and maybe they never been, they just do snaps, So what's wrong with them? They can, if I see something, they give me some idea of some mood, of some impression. So if I understand what they try to say, I like it, this picture. It doesn't mean have to be so perfect, like golden triangle, great composition, the light, balance. That's how you go by rules to extracting something from the, any image, it's extractions of very little field, like generally what you do from the world or from what we see, like we extracting something very, very particulars. And these particulars we express in a certain language of art, which is developed since people drawings and
Right,
make a drawing and
But it's
Stone
also,
Age.
It's also says it's very important to understand the language by which artists start communicating with you. See, because just like what you said is important, once you see somebody took very simple picture, but that picture has a message, then you may like it or appreciate it because that picture has some conscious, what I really want to talk about is Krishna consciousness, subjective evolution, the consciousness of seeing things, and consciousness of delivering things through the media of images. Because we're living in a very important age where people previously make big art monuments and spend all their life, but now you just pull out the iPhone, got it, and send a message and sell like, Haribol, that's what meaning like this and this and this. Or you can be at the stadium at the war place, just like what happened recently in Ukraine, the revolution. People start taking important concepts, important events with their phones. And another thing was I was really amazed when we see this Thai festival where thousands of flies flying up.
Mm-hmm.
And time of Ukrainian revolution, they said, okay, all people raise your mobile devices and light them up. And there were like thousands of heads with mobile devices. It's almost like, looked like thousands of light came up. Mm-hmm. And then I understood, God damn it, everybody's got a mobile device. So I called up one of my programmer and I said, I want to get an app where all the spiritual books at one search engine, and I want something that the Krishna consciousness will be on that mobile phone. But as much as we're trying to bring things to people closer to them, we can understand that without substantial picture, they won't get the message. So it used to be like people would read the books, but now a lot of people, they're just perceiving, like Facebook. What is Facebook? It's a stream of pictures. If you have an interesting picture and interesting concept, you may link somebody to get more. If you just write, this is the most important message of my life, and I'm going like, everybody says, that's crap. So that's why with you as a visual artist, what I'd like you to share is how you communicate your messages, your ideas, your concepts, especially spiritual ones. Because, if everybody's seeing shoes on sale, he can make an iPhone picture and say, oh, look at the, shoes on sale,
Well, the thing is, who will charge what is spiritual or not. For me it's very difficult. I'm shy to say. I never think I can capture something spiritual for myself.
Well, you think it's possible?
If it's people around me, surround, and I take the pictures of them, then I can say, okay, maybe I took something spiritual.
Right. But what I'm saying is, like, is it possible to carry some spiritual message with the picture?
Sure.
Okay, so why not? Then tell me why not. Why very few people able to do it, and why everybody's looking for spiritual things and they can't get it enough?
It's very, that answer for me can be very complicated and can be very simple at the same time.
But it has to be very short in our talk show.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd throw you out of chair.
Because I think images also, it's a certain type of codes.
Okay.
What we see, it's certain like gradation, the colors, there's some lines and whatever. Certain type of code, like some people going to museum and they see some beautiful paintings made by world master, but they maybe has no appreciation. They just Rubens or whatever that passing by. I think it's image. It's made by who and sent by who. It's important, transmitter and receiver and substance, and I cannot really explain it from my point of view, how you can transfer exactly if, something you capture it's spiritual, and, like what you write in the books, like you write some line or some message, or like, let's say, Bhagavad Gita books, right?
Okay.
There's a lot of messages there, lines and thoughts, and when I read book like Bhagavad Gita, I'm not sure I will understand exactly and how much spiritual
my concern
I will take from this line myself.
Okay.
Soon as the book, as like by just my trust, it's a spiritual unit. Then I just trust from my high source as a spiritual master. Then I attach with the spiritual things, right?
But you see, for someone like artist like you, what I perceive is you take, let's say, Bhagavad Gita, and you've read it. Something like karma yoga, then you see some guy like pulling the plow, in field, and you make a picture and say like, and you put some sloka from the Gita, and then you would see some sense enjoyer or something in tamagun or something in rajagun, and then you can take the picture and illustrate that particular, stage of consciousness, of movement, and that's immediately will become, if put picture like man with the, stick with the carrot and he's running on donkey, everybody would get it. Oh yeah, that's what means
like
karma. That's what my hard work, So I'm talking about like, besides art, what Lenin did is he's used many artists for propaganda. He create, actually, it was a very interesting thing. When most of the people try to sell things, a communist in their time, using best artists, best ability, they've been trying to sell you ideas, and that's what I like. Of course, things also connect with ideas, but there's rules of advertising, which is pretty clear. It goes through different stages, but there's also rules of poster propaganda, and those graphic artists who did advertising or cinema, they love those posters because they're very potent. They got message.
Yes, they are.
And that's what's going on internet. People start creating like powerful messages. They can like communicate through their messages. They can do revolution through their message. Their symbols.
They idolize.
Yes.
Because they create idols.
Right.
Ladies with
whatever. They think in their way like how we want to present, let's say, Krishna consciousness. So do we want like the working lady like with the Hummer? Or we want the sexy one in sari, or we want the smart one in the glasses reading Bhagavad Gita. There's different ways like you reconceive how you present your idea with the graphics.
Yes.
So, and one of the reasons, because you're an artist, and I'd like to know some of the secrets, some of the ways how you would, like, let's say, how would you approach something if I'll tell you, okay, look, give me like 50 shots of Bhagavad Gita, the karma yoga, the jnana yoga, the renunciation, this, that, would you think it's possible to like express the whole thing?
Yeah, I can express if I understand.
Right.
If I understand, you see, every image, or every image has so many explanations,
Yes.
And of course, the artist, as a painter or
Yes.
as a cinematographer or any kind of artist which is bringing the idea, he's supposed to involve his concept for his, how he,
His language.
no, how he's, how you say this in English?
His way to express
как
things.
переживает. How he, how he perceive certain things,
Yes.
like them he's himself involved his, knowledge and whatever he, and give it to audience,
So, what you're trying to say is if an artist fully conscious of what he really feel, and then he has enough master skills to take his feelings and senses into the image. Because you see, you might be a very sensitive person, but you have no art skills. So that's where the skills of music or art comes, where you have some concept, an idea, and you can start like drawing it, or you can start giving it in a particular shape or form. Then people say, wow, that's great. But I think you're right. It's not necessarily what they feel the same as you feel. It says in the Bhagavatam, Aham veti, Vyasa veti, Shuka veti, na veti va. Shiva say, I know Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadev, Shuka knows Srimad Bhagavatam, but the Vyas, who wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, he may know, he may not know.
It's important.
Sometimes artists give you something greater than he even understands himself. Or sometimes it's actually different. Artist is very deep, he's very intellectual, his art is very complicated, very philosophical. People just don't get it because they're not ready for it. They just...
Yeah, well, yes, like in cinematography, for example, before create any film or, they calculate your audience, who's your audience.
Yeah, that's why they make it such a bad films. Because they need to reach big audience.
Yeah. So those are commercial films, like whatever, actions or, something what general audience expected.
But I want to ask you one question. Does ever non-commercial cinematographer become bestseller?
Sorry?
Was it ever that non-commercial cinematographer become like a bestseller?
I didn't know that. I'm
no, what I'm trying to say, like
numbers,
in cinematography, they're thinking, well, now we're making the Superman, but, because the China is big market, let the Superman girlfriend be Chinese. And, and because of the, the big black audience, let another guy, the big black guy. Well, actually, Russia is still buying our film. We normally put Russian guys as the bad guys, but, let's put another good one. Because normally, let the Ukrainian be the bad guy. Russian guy will be the good guy. So you got the Chinese guy, you've got the black guy, you got the Ukrainian guy, Russian guy. So you pretty much screw your story by start, editing somewhat what people will buy. You think you'll buy. You start making like a soup. You start catering. So. And then you say, well, my story sounds very, very good, very spiritual, but you know what people don't get? If I don't make money, what's the point of giving spiritual stories to people? So you cut off and you make something very primitive. So you end up with kind of a schlock, which like kids look for entertainment. That's what people say, like cinema moving towards garbage because you put lots of money, lots of bullshit to say one good word, I'll be back. So, but with an Instagram, with like image of Instagram, being at some, thing, you can like click and you can share with millions of people and they get it. Or you can have a short film. Terry Gilman is a famous British director for Monty Python. He said, I used to make big films, but now I'm trying to make them short and short and short because I feel that I don't have much to say, actually. I don't have so much to say. I have very little to say, and for very little to say, I can make a very small film, like Harry Bull. But he's a Terry Gilman. He can make you in a way. Anyway, so it's endless talk about art and spirituality, but here's what, if you want to hear my conclusion, here's what I think. I think all art has a conscious background, but because when we say conscious, we don't necessarily feel mind, the gyan, intellect. Art also has very subjective part. Just like what you've said, it may not be necessarily the golden rectangle and the rules. It may be some feeling, but there's different types of feelings. There's mundane feelings. There's feelings of lust. So when I talk about art, I say, you can divide person for 3 parts. And actually, one part is his low part, or the low chakra. And that's art which is supposed to move the low chakra. Bzzz. And then it's kind of like commercial, vulgar art, which, mainly in music perceived as a sex, as gross enjoyment. The second part of art is actually up to here. It's where it's supposed to start moving your brain. So besides, you think, oh, well, that's very important. I never thought like that. That's kind of like art which starts moving your brain and some affection to your. And then the highest art that's the art which totally knock your heart out. That's where you get the most spiritual impression. But what I really think is interesting in India, and great masters, they wouldn't hesitate to use all 3. See, great masters, they never thought, well, I can only make very spiritual, because we know, like in our line, Rupa Goswami, he was drama writer. And he wrote drama about Krishna and his relationship with gopis. And he actually wrote 2, Vidagdha Madhava and Lalita Madhava. One of the dramas is about Dwaraka queens. And Radharani came to him in a dream and said, separate them. And one drama is about Vrindavan. But this is very clearly, we understand who's the audience. Why we're forbidden to read all these high books. So the audience is Krishna himself. Mm-hmm. Because, do you understand? Krishna wants to enjoy, and Radharani tell, okay, I got a good writer. He can write something that you will enjoy. And, some of us will enjoy. So, Krishna read that book. He said, that's pretty good. Damn, goddamn it, how he knows what I feel, I'm really amazed. It's a good piece of art, and somebody say, why can't we publish for everybody? Because, of course, the great sahajas, they will all read it. Because why you can read this only if you're a sahaja? Because you want to evolve to this higher spiritual level and think, well, why can I try what God's enjoy? But a little ant come out of his hole and he perceived to be the knower. So that's one part. So Rupa Goswami wrote something to please Krishna. And why those books in our line? Those books in our line because we can say our gurus were so much close to Krishna, they knew all Krishna's heart expressions, they could totally mesmerize Krishna by revealing things that Krishna even maybe hiding about himself or wants to know about himself. And that's why they're like Rupa Goswami, and they're so great. They're even that great, we don't read their books, and there's Granda Samadhi. There's after they disappeared, their books been buried with them. The Granda Samadhi. It means we take all these holy concepts and we put in Samadhi and we worship. But we don't go inside. But that's a topmost art. And there's very few, souls can connect to that. And actually,
it's something inconceivable.
Right, but at the same time, if you go little step down, not so much like Bhilmavangal Thakur, who blind himself. You really start reading his book, you think that's a book of a crazy person, because he writes thousands of slokas in love of Krishna. And what is this thousands of slokas in love of Krishna? Like you think, is a normal person can write something like this? You know, because like when boys and girls feel in love, then you know they're going so crazy. They're like they want to commit suicide. You know that in normal love, you look at the girl and say, commit suicide for her? Come on. Or she think like, for this fat ass commit suicide? Come on. You know, like I'm tolerating him. You know, like, but when they connect, you know, when at young age, when the feelings are so hard, then love seems to be like so romantic, so, you know, that's why I think Krishna is young, because, you know, after a certain age, love is no longer attracting. Lust maybe, but not love. But that's another level of realization. Like Bhimavankal Thakur, he's fully by divine love ecstasy. You can understand. So only being someone like him, you can understand that. Otherwise, you don't really get it. Because, you know, people offer each other like love, poetries. If you're not really in connection, you think that's some kind of a silly stuff, you know. It's not serious, but it's serious for those who's in love. So that level is, one level is to Krishna, next level is Bhimavankal Thakur. There's another level, you know, of different spiritual realization. And you know, what's this? That's level of spiritual realization? That I'm not spiritual. Because the best love songs is the songs about you not have the love. You miss your beloved, you don't experience love, and that's where the best songs coming. Not about love, without living, like not even living, like existing, struggling without love. And everybody is like drunk to say, yeah, that's true. I'm not have real life, I'm just exist, like, you know, my life is useless.
That's why I like drama all the time, more than anything else.
Well, I mean, and you can understand. So the great directors and cinematographers and theater people, they know how to play people's sentiment.
Yes.
And that's what they do, but they don't actually understand, because after I study their books, they talk very like the character change in circumstance. They don't understand about that's what they're saying actually is applicable to divine level. Because they feel they're God by knowing rules of drama, they can play people's mind. You understand? All these guys who's like big directors, stage directors, they think they're like a magical gods who can manipulate people's senses, and they think that's why they worship themselves, and they think, oh, theater is so great. In the theater you can live different lives, you know, you can incarnate, but it's all kind of illusion actually, because in the real divine theater, see, people don't understand gods also have his own theater. But again, we're talking about very, very high things, Bhimavankal Thakur, Rupa Goswami. Then we're going to the level of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who's showing actually I have no love, I have no devotion. You know, if you read Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books and poetry, then you'll see his lamentation for non-having spiritual realization. Very deep actually, very strong. But that's another level, and that's a level we can connect with. He actually trying to connect us to the very high level. So it's a very interesting trick. In order to connect you to some very high level, you're supposed to connect your viewer to a particular level and start growing him. You can't cater very complicated art to somebody who's not a connoisseur, who's somebody who does not understand. So that's why you take somebody to a museum and show him gradually evolution of art, and you start explaining things, and then he started getting it. And people, what they like is what they understand. An interesting thing Socrates says. He said people like to recognize what they forgot. He said people don't like to know new things. They're more like to realize forgotten things. So it's interesting, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, he said, you can't really know the truth. One thing you can know that you forgot the truth. You understand? You knew Krishna, like, so when you know Krishna consciousness, yeah, like, I knew this, come on, like, oh, you know, oh, I forgot again, you know, like, oh, what I'm smoking. So, but it's kind of like, you know, you're forgetting like what I felt about Krishna consciousness. Like when I connect with Krishna consciousness on some level, I thought, like I knew about that. It's like never was time that I did not know about that. Is there like any time that I did not know about Krishna?
Well, the good story is multi-layers of complexity of achievements. That's what it is. So, to achieve of the, like personality, like character or something, he have to, win or lose something. And so the audience suppose, go through with him through certain complex.
Of course.
And this complex, it's have to be also remind audience of themselves.
Of course.
And if this happens, this is kind of chemistry of great stories.
Right.
I mean,
right, but there's also, you see, like I've heard a guy from Pixar, and he said like there's different ways to tell the story, and he quoted Toy Story, famous film, the Toy Story that Pixar made. And he said, in Pixar, you don't really have like a bad guys and good guys. They're all toys. Each one has a particular character. They're all trying to survive, the cowboy, the cosmonaut. So there are different ways to tell a story. And like, for instance, one thing, you can look at the Krishna. See, Krishna does amazing stuff. But be interesting in a story like Mahabharata or some other story, he does not fight or does things. He's a charioteer, he's a helper, he's an advisor. You'll look at Arjuna, Bhima, Nakula, Kunti. They're the people who's coming through all, life experience and, sometimes losing their children, sometimes going through very, very difficult stages of like losing their kin, but not Krishna actually. Because Krishna think, look, I'm a god. So if I start play, very like dramatic part, actually he does sometimes. Sometimes he play Ramayana. It's very, very deep when he does himself. So here's what I can say. Sometimes Krishna put his devotees in a very primary roles, like Hanuman,
I think Ramayan's a great example.
Army, and sometimes Krishna, he more withdraw from like being man of action himself. Rather, he tells actually Arjuna, actually I killed them all, but I need a good guy like you to do it in my story. So Krishna has all kinds of templates, all kinds of models for stories. Sometimes he get involved himself, sometimes he get involved more with devotees. But out of all stories you can make, and just like we spoke today with Goswami Maharaj, said there's only 5 stories according, I think Aristotle, there's only 5 stories you can tell. And in Indian Bharatanatyam Shastra is also very few stories. But the most complicated is a love story. Because the war stories are very easy to do. There are some guys, they're going 300 Spartans.
I think all the 5 story can link to one story.
Of course.
Which is called love.
Right, there's love everywhere, but you have to understand, one is love like the tank is coming on me and I'm like throwing grenade and killing myself. It's very understandable. But what is very complicated is the relationship between people, is their senses, is their emotions. So when we talk about Chaitanya Lila, Gaur Lila, see, there's not so much war, there's no fight, like in Ramayana, there's big fight, Lanka, Ravana, Rama, monkeys, it's all very excited. In Mahabharata, there's 5 brothers, Hastinapur, the whole thing. It's all very excited, but when you're talking about Gaur Lila, it's like Mahaprabhu in Avadhut with his associates, and he's doing the Sankirtan, and then he's taking sannyas, very dramatic.
Well,
one of his wife dies.
Well,
his wife never normally dies in other Leelas, but in this Leela, one of his wife dying, another one's becoming widow, and he's taking sannyas.
It's a holy madness.
Well, it's a love story. It's a divine love story. It's not. He also has love with his mother. his Navadvip entourage, his wife and all his relatives and friends. It's a very, very subtle story. It's very difficult to tell. That's why very few good films about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because it's very hard to express. It's very hard to express such a high feelings to general open public. And you don't get it immediately like Chaitanya Charitamrita. You read all your life.
I'm pretty much sure that stories like Chaitanya Lila, they too exclusive for general public. You cannot showing for it's very difficult to bring it his feeling or audience that has no certain type of relationship or certain type of experience, because what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for regular people looks like, it's a madman.
Yeah, that's great.
And this madness, we from world of the highest sorts of like our spiritual masters and what we heard, we can consider as a madness. Because there is some certain explanation being given to us, right?
Well, everybody can understand divine love can cause madness. That's not the difficult part. The difficult part is like Shakespeare, his Hamlet is many like murder and mother and father, blah, blah, blah. But in the midst of the prince, he speaks about very spiritual things. But Shakespeare need to put his character into very like circumstance that you really want to understand, whether his mother gonna kill him or his father or, his servant, blah, blah, blah. People have very like bad tendencies, like why we like the war movies, because we like to see other people die, it's cool, it's fun, it's good. There's no like sex or violence or something in a movie, it's not gonna go big. That's why, some directors like Tarantino and others, they explore all these things, like, they'll rather play. But when you talk about love story and deep love story, you sort of like need to combine with another. Like you can have that Chaitanya Leela, but you don't make movie about Chaitanya. You may make movie about Hussein Shah or Akbar or some great historical figure of that time. That's was one of my ideas.
Like, for example, I think it's going to be good as somebody speak to somebody.
Of course.
As give the story, because people, have to...
Just like Life of Pi.
Yeah.
You get a guy who's a storyteller, and he, in the beginning, I'll tell you the story.
Or Alexander the Great.
Right.
Alexander, Alexander, like the Anthony Hopkins, he gives speech because he witnessed.
Right.
He spent some time. So all the films based on what his experience with Alexander. It's some kind of biography by, like a live person.
No, we understand. It's all like cinematographer or theatrical tricks. But my point is still like, see, what you and I would talk about like multi-million-dollar project where you need to have like big budget and so many cameras, and you come up with a script, and some guy may change it 100 times, and by the time you finish filming, it becomes something else. Or you do like a documentary, good type of documentary with a nice motion camera. That's not what I'm talking about tonight. That we can talk some other time. I'm talking about the power of simple iPhone picture, which can go viral and attract people and direct them towards something spiritual. That's what my question. Is that possible? What do you think? Is it possible with iPhone, with very few concepts, you can like blow people's mind in this world?
Absolutely.
Well, how?
I don't know. You should have patency for this. you know.
Well, I think first of all, you know, if somebody's famous, a public figure.
I want to. Like people, you know, can blow mind of other people by say a couple words,
Right.
right?
Like Hare Krishna.
Anything, you know. So I don't think it's matter what you have in your hands. You know, your it's iPhone or just simple pen. You can draw a couple lines.
Well, if you Picasso.
Or you stay with microphone in front of the public.
Yeah, if you are like you know, Elton John, you may.
You know, any image will bring you idea, concept. You can express this imagely, or you can write this, or you can verbally say this.
Right, but
As soon as your
but again, if
effect, like medicine,
if
when you inject to a sick, you know, like for somebody who's like need medicine, and this medicine, when you do injection, help him, I don't know, his fever down or something, right?
Right.
If this happened to public, so
Yes.
you got it.
Right, but I want to tell you one thing. There might be very great men who live in Chiang Mai under the bridge, or you know, in a little room typing computer. He's got so many great ideas. Like, you know, we've had like, let's say we have a Goswami Maharaj. He's a type of genius person with, you know, genius spiritual abilities. But to be able to come up and, you know, say a few things, you need some kind of like Madonna who comes and tell, you know, I want to introduce you some of my Hare Krishna friends, and now horrible, you know, and there are some two guys are coming and dancing, and everybody watching, and some, you know, I really like that, you know, I like that guy's then, you know, something like that. Or, you know, we live in a particular time when things are not resolved as simple as they are. Let's say if you're at Kiev Revolution and you can like show somebody smashing head with a hammer, and you took little video on hammer and he's like dying, and you like, does soul exist or not? Yes, it exists. That maybe go viral. You know, somebody put like Star Wars or something. So what I'm trying to say, we live in an age where you have to create a very special image. That may not be, you know, iPhone or 4K slow-mo resolution. Most like you need some excited concept, or you need some truth, or you need some documentary. So that's why people start using an iPhone, because it's always with you. It's never been that so many people in the world have so many cameras with them. So it's an interesting point. You know, at stock shooters, they start selling iPhone footage. So it used to be like you need to be like a really professional guy with big camera, but it's no longer that. You can open stock footage. Are you selling your stuff in stock footage?
No, I'm
Really?
not selling.
Why not?
I don't know how, sorry.
Just register on stock footage and you can sell all your pictures. People buy it. But they didn't. Yes, they will. If you have good pictures, people will buy it. The point is, you can nowadays start selling your pictures from iPhone, and that's what they inquire you. If you're near the Olympic Games, or you're near the revolution or something, you know, you're in terrifying Himalaya circumstance, or, you know, you see UFO or aliens, you know, put your picture on stock shooter and, you know, people will buy it.
Sure, why not?
Well, I mean, I tell you why. People want immediate connection with reality. See, it was like in previous days, you can't have an access to, like, in previous days you should climb up the mountains and go to the mountains of Himalayas for 6 months. If you're from China, you may not even gonna make it there. Then you take a piece of paper and put on a stone and put some, you know, and then you got like written truth. And with that written truth, it's so valuable to you, you like going. So there's a famous Chinese book about Tripalaka. He was a Buddhist monk. He traveled from China to India 3 lifetimes. 2 lifetimes he died on the way. And so some real historian saying what describes as a book, most like the truth. Because at that time, was a big Buddhism in India, and there was like big monasteries and this and that. So it sounds very fairy tale story, because there's a lot of mysticism, and I understood some part of Puranas are rewritten into the book. So it's kind of like mixed up of travel blog of some, Chinese monk who's traveling to India, where he heard some Puranas and things. He made a very interesting book. But the important point is like, he's been going for the wisdom for like 3 lifetimes. So like, previously people rewrite books like Bhagavad Gita by hand, in Soviet Russia, when Hare Krishna books were just nearly available, people would rewrite them by hands.
Yes.
Just imagine, like I had my own like sloka books.
Our father has a stack of the books of all type of yoga,
right.
which has been
Whatever I like in a book, I will write down. Not even type. I'll just write with my handwriting some slokas, and I still have those books. Like I would carry a book with me. I would carry books in my case. Now I carry everything in my iPad. But the problem is when I had to rewrite books, I would read them. Now I have no time. That's another phenomenal. Now people have so much access to so much. They have no time. They have no understanding. They're like, I'm scrolling sometimes like Facebook, and I see it's full of crap. And once in a while I'll see some good picture. I know there's some good stuff on Facebook as well. But it's like, that's what it's become. It's become like stream of polluted mundane consciousness. And in this stream, I think if I could produce like one good picture a day, and I could write something substantial to people, that may reach millions of people.
Can I add something? I think, first of all, what you say, it's important because it's time of globalization, since like we develop radio, and the whole world can receive messages, any part of the world at the same time. Like all those iPhones or all those mobile devices, or like the major things people can see, share any message, anything you did in a second, and any like far country from here at the moment. But the thing is, I think they also, maybe it's a good thing, because like people express themselves, and like you say, internet or whatever, it's full of all kind. Imagine if all those people will write something. It's better to see image very quick and delete them. Spend some time to read something in his mind.
Well, what you're trying to say is like people overload with information, and if they start dumping information, I agree with you, but just like you said, certain things they penetrate heart, and certain things they're just beyond mind. People in general like to read things. They like to read things.
Yeah,
on
we have a Twitter, and
but they need like a short. It's almost like we're coming back to the Vedas, because Vedas written in a short sentences. So Twitter is like slokas, is a short sentences. So we start from like, give me 300 pages of some written crap, and now we tell me, can you write the same things in one tweet? And if you can, like, I subscribe to you. I'm not going to buy it. I'll just subscribe for free. If you can't, express yourself in a very short way, get the hell out of here. Because there's a format, like a book has to be 160 pages. The like script has to be as much as you understand, everything comes to form, 12 minutes, 24 minutes, the podcast, the 14 seconds, the 36, like everything comes. But as a cinematographer, do you think we can make entire like promo, advertising clip in 36 seconds, which fully express meanings of life?
Yes.
Like, what's the budget?
We can discuss this later offline.
Well, what if we blew it? No. What if we spend all our money and nobody gets it?
Well, I have no idea.
It's possible, right?
Anything is possible.
Yeah. So I think in
this
case,
can you? Well, it's my question.
I would open the free concourse.
I redirect the question.
Ideas on internet.
I will redirect the question. Can you express yourself, meanings of life, in 2 or 3 words?
Of course.
Then
it's very
what's
simple.
different?
Well, here's just like you said, audience. See, what normally people know about us is two words, Hare Krishna. And that's meaning of life, actually. Hari is the divine energy, and Krishna is enjoying divine absolute who can relate to with everyone. So when people see us, they don't know what it is. They don't, but they express it. Hare Krishna. What is Hare Krishna? Nobody can explain. But they say, well, it's Hare Krishna. They don't say it's Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You know, it's an interesting thing. In Russian, there was one popular song just recently called Yedu v Magadan. It's only two words. It's like Hare Krishna. And I understood. And it's actually very interesting, very primitive animation. And the guy tells, I heard some kind of a music, but the words weren't so important because it's kind of like chanson. But everybody remembers only two words. So as you can understand, some famous songs like Money, 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 da da, da or like Da da breaking the wall. What I'm trying to say is like,
well, actually,
the famous songs are not complicated. Like I thought, you need to write a complicated song. You may have it, but the popular songs are for somehow they're so simple.
I believe so because like two words, Yedu Magadan, can have a lot of big meanings. It has no limit. Ideas can be very dramatic. You know, even the very foolish song, but two words can make it big deal.
Right.
For example,
Hare Krishna.
there is a famous American song, and I like it. Two words. They say, "Isn't not sunshine when you gone?" In two words or three words, it's a expression of very strong love. Like he says, "Is no sunshine when you gone." There's a very powerful message.
Well, actually, to me, these two words, is there's no sunshine when you gone, means like, who cares when you die? Sun will still gonna, you know, it could be different ways things are expressed, but I understand.
Yeah, but in the world of love, you know, when the separation, when there's no light anymore coming, you know, when you're gone, there is no light for somebody. And I think it's two words, it's very powerful expression. So means in very short message or image or time, you can express so much.